Welcome back to a new year, new us. Not
Same
really.
us.
Same us. Yeah, we haven't really changed. I'm Mitch,
I'm Alex.
and welcome to 2025 Net Talk. What are we doing today?
We are just welcoming everyone back, and we'll just go over sort of what is going on in the world of volleyball, sort of the
Updates.
the leagues, how they're happening.
There's been a couple
what's shaking
updates.
out.
Nothing major.
Yeah.
Go into our top 10 lists. And, we'll talk about other people's top 10 lists, notably Volleyball Worlds.
People much more informed than us.
Yeah.
Volleyball World's social media team, which caught me off guard that it was like the socials, but I guess they watch more
than we
volleyball
do.
than anyone else does.
Yeah. And then we'll give our uninformed opinions on their lists.
Critique it left
Yeah,
and right. And then we're going to look at a particular game at an Australian playing over in the Polish league.
Yeah.
In a team that's fighting to stay out of relegation. But
Which I think they're doing well. They could be doing better.
They could be doing better. But they've got a couple wins over the recent period,
Yeah.
and
We'll
they did
talk
get a
about
little
it.
bit of an upset win against some names that you might recognise in the audience. We will help you recognise more often.
Yeah. Slay and shame time.
Yeah, how was your holiday period? We have to do a slay and shame for like 5 weeks because we've been gone so long.
I don't remember that far back, so I'm just doing
Yeah.
it for the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Are you going first or am I?
You can go first.
No, it says you here.
Oh, it does say me. All right. Phew.
It's more so that I have more time to think about what my
yeah.
slay and shame is.
My shame can be that I'm just coming back worse from holidays. I've had too good a holiday period. Just trips.
Fair enough.
Just actually probably didn't watch much volleyball over that period of like post-Christmas to New Year's when there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
But there also isn't a whole lot of volleyball going on. They at least thankfully take a break as well.
A far shorter break, mind you.
Far shorter break, but definitely coming back a little slower on the court.
Well, we
Got a
haven't
couple
seen
of
it.
weeks.
We haven't
Got a
seen
couple
it
of
yet.
weeks
Yeah.
till trials.
Hit the gym quick.
Yeah, and then slay can be that I've been on lots of holidays.
Yeah, fair
That's
enough.
great. Good for relaxation.
Two sides of the coin for you.
Yeah, I'm throwing in another shame as well because it was actually a trend that I was laughing at that 3 weeks in a row, my shame was beach volleyball in Victoria. Fifth
We can
week in
add
a row,
that, yeah.
Fifth
For
week,
the weekend.
Fifth week in the row, the weekend, the round started
And then got
cancelled at around midday just due to the sheer amount of storms
Did you
and
play?
lightning strikes. No, I took the weekend off. My partner was going to New Zealand and
Oh, I knew I had some events.
I had some events
Yeah.
on across the day, so I was like, "Oh, that's way better." I'll just
I was tempted to play,
Yeah.
and then I had an event on that
Yeah.
I'll talk about in a second. And then was like, yeah, nah, thank God I didn't.
yeah, very glad. Saw people all crammed in under one of the
Yeah.
shelters.
It would have been
going.
Yuck.
Oh, we're just waiting half an hour to see if it passes, and
Did not
it's
pass.
not passing.
Well, I looked at the bomb for those who are overseas wondering, oh my God, what's that? It's just their weather app.
Yeah, the Bureau of Meteorology.
Yeah. And I looked at the radar, and it was like, I looked at the post on Vic Beach. It was like, yeah, it was wait half an hour. I looked at the bomb, zoomed out, and I was like, not going to happen, I don't think.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have 2 slays.
Ooh.
Yeah. Neither of which, for once, work related. Slay 1 is Kate and I hosted a dinner. You were invited, didn't show up, whatever. He had an event on. It wasn't our event though.
Different event.
Yeah, whatever. And Kate, as always, is like the best cook on the planet and just cooks so much food. I was asked, Gondor calls for aid. She asked me, for those who know that reference, if you don't, you obviously don't, because you're looking at me like you have no fucking clue what I just said. Loser. Anyways, she asked me to help out cooking because, I'm not the greatest cook, but I can cook a couple of dishes pretty well. Throughout the week, I cooked a really good tortellini, and she was like, let's do that again, plus my signature fried rice, which is just from a recipe book, whatever. So we put on what I thought was quite a good event, and everyone said was really happy, and people knew what Kate's like when she cooks. So several people who came brought Tupperware, knowing there would be leftovers. So they took our leftovers.
Did anyone get a goodie bag of deviled eggs?
No, the deviled eggs were made, and then I actually really liked them. Shout out to Tom who brought them, even though Kate hates eggs. So she was like, "Don't you dare bring them." He brought them anyways, and then they were left in the fridge. Boiled eggs in the fridge overnight, and then I went to try to eat them the next morning. Terrible idea, really, really bad idea. Anyways, Slay 1. Slay 2 is I've actually been good this Christmas, unlike you. But you should be worried though, because we're playing the same position this year.
No, but barely. No need to fear.
Your advantage is, well, you're a head taller than me. My advantage is I actually look after my body.
I've been bulking. I'm storing up my energy for a season-long competition.
I've been hitting the gym regularly. I feel really strong. I probably feel stronger than I have for a while because I was pretty lazy last year. But Kate and I have been hitting the gym pretty hard, so pretty happy with that. My shame, I have a few ideas for my shame. I think the one that I'll go with is... No, I don't know. There's a few that I'm really thinking of here. I could shame you for being late again.
It's not late if I message 5 minutes before saying, can I come
gonna
half
be
an hour
late,
later? See, that means I'm on time.
Nah, I was actually going to shame Big Beach for attempting, I think it would have to be the 4th or 5th cancelled round easily. Because there was a cancelled round, then they put it in lieu, and then that round was cancelled. And then there was another round that was moved or cancelled.
I think it's 4th because there's 3 rounds that have been cancelled.
Yeah.
Not their fault.
No, it's not.
It's
so
just
I'll shame the weather in Victoria.
It's just so funny that first one that got cancelled was supposed to be, I remember my first one of the season because it was round 2 or 3.
Yeah. And then there was a 2.5.
So,
and then there was
cancelled.
a 3.
Yeah, and it's just...
and I reckon there was a 3.5. And this was 6.5, I feel like.
Yeah, because 6 got cancelled last week and then...
Oh, because it was too hot. Because it was like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
There's no way I'd play
because that is then the health issue of you're playing 40-degree heat and they don't have the facilities to do what they do at like Cobram where they're watering down the courts in between points.
That's just the easiest way to heat stroke. There's just no way.
So there's not much else going on in the national within Australia.
No, there's OPI.
OPI has been happening.
We did a great episode with Nathan Roberts, it was a few weeks ago now for us, and we spoke a bit about OPI. I didn't realize, and this is our fault, didn't realize how early it was happening because we were going to cover it, and we still might cover it. We might cover it next episode or the episode after. Next episode, we got a guest on.
Yeah.
This episode after that, we might cover it. I will put links in the YouTube description for where you can watch it, and the next round is happening next weekend or the weekend after. So I'll put the links in the description. Go and watch it. It's the only Australian indoor volleyball happening right now that's broadcast, I believe. I don't think there's anything else going on. If you don't know what it is, quick recap. It's a draft league happening in SA. All the best players get drafted into these 4 teams, men and women. They play it out. Obviously, it's going to be good quality because you're
picking your best team, the best players.
They're very even. Yeah, they're very evenly distributed teams.
Although,
except for both of Nathan Roberts' teams. Although I think one of his teams
that's
lost.
What I'm saying. We gave Nathan Roberts too many compliments about
because then he's lost
about his drafting process and that his team looked so good on paper and they lost in round 1.
His men's team lost. His women's team is
stacked. But
so we'll have to give him a little bit of shade for that.
Yeah,
and our fault for gassing
him up too much. But maybe the players can pin it on the coach, blame the coach.
Yeah, and then he can be like, "Well, the netball guys talked me up."
Yeah.
All right, moving into the international scene though, I'll get into the Polish league. Just into the updates for the ladder. Nothing much changing here. JSW is sitting at the top. Water Zawiercie is sitting second. So that's Luke Perry's team for those who are Australian, following Australians. Project Warszawa is sitting third. I think they've jumped up a bit. I think they were sitting they had a rough start to the season and now they've jumped up. Zaxa climbing the ranks. So what we're going to talk about later is going to be relevant now. So Lorenzo Pope's team, Barkom, the Ukrainian team playing in the Polish league, so they're sitting 14th. So for those who don't know, the bottom 3 teams in the Polish league get relegated, and the top 3 teams from the below division come up. So there's 14th, 15th, and 16th get relegated. Barkom sitting 14th, and the team above them are on the same amount of win-loss. So Barkom just won against Warszawa, I think, and they're sitting 7th. So quite a high-ranked team.
Yeah, that's the game we'll be having a little look at.
We'll have a little look at later, but if they can keep playing the way they played against Warszawa, whether Warszawa had a bad game or not, who really knows? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. If they can win a few more, which it looks like they should be able to, they might sneak out of relegation, which would be great and great for our boy Lorenzo. Over on the women's side, not a whole lot. The top 3 teams all have the same name as usual that I say, the Lodge, I believe, but there's a couple of different sponsors. The third team is the women's Resovia team. And nothing much has changed here. Redom has dropped a couple places for those who are following, and everything else remains the same. Alex, take us away into the other league.
For the SV League, which is the Japanese league, teams are sitting pretty much the same on the men's side. The top 4 teams have a couple win buffer. We've got Osaka Blue Tion in first, Wolf Dogs Nagoya second, Suntory Sunbirds third, and JTEC Stings fourth. Of note, an Australian, Trent Day in Nagano, unfortunately, has had a pretty rough run of things. That team sort of at the bottom half of the ladder.
They did get a sneaky win the other day, though.
Yeah,
I believe.
They've got a couple good wins against teams. And this league, they play old AVL style. You play 2 games a weekend, and then you get the week break. And they've been trading wins back and forth, which is good for the team and experience. Not great to climb the ladder because you both just get 1 win from the weekend.
Trading, yeah.
But they have got some upsetting wins. They've taken some good sets here and there, which has been really good to watch. That finally being on VBTV has made it so much easier to watch.
Sorry to interrupt you. That can be our collective shame. Is I had, for whatever reason, no time to watch volleyball over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
I don't think you did either. So that's our shame. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. The women's side of the SV League, Osaka Marvelous in first, with how it's working, Denso Airy in second have more wins, but they've also got 1 more loss because of just time zone differences, and I think
they've had more games.
Yeah, Osaka Marvelous has had a bye weekend, I think is how that works.
Yeah.
But then the women's side of the SV League, the middle chunk of of their ladder is very similar, all on 15-14, 15-13 wins. But at the moment it's Saitama Medics, Eigo Medics
Sorry,
in
I'm
third,
adjusting the aircon if you can hear that.
and Himeji in fourth.
Yeah, nice. Italian league?
The Italian league, me run it back again.
Well, it's got your name on it.
Yeah, I know. It's just so dominated that it's so boring just to say Caneliano in first again, which I think
surprise.
I saw someone mention on social media, or I think the 9x9 boys also talked about the fact that they've lost 3 games over the last
few years.
Calendar year.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just well and truly in front there. And then Scandici in second, and Navarra in third, and True Volley Milano in fourth on the women's side. The men's side for Serie A is Perugia in first.
No surprise.
Dominating there. They've lost 1 game though, actually. Trentino second. They are looking really good as well. Piacenza in third.
Piacenza has figured it out.
Yeah.
They were not doing well earlier on.
Yeah, I feel like they haven't lost in a little while, but the games that they lost were early in the season.
Same with Lube.
Yeah.
Lube finally, Alex Nikolov is back.
Yeah, and Lube in fourth with Alex Nikolov playing.
One thing of note, which we'll talk about later, is I got messages all morning, but we weren't going to cover it because there's no time for us to watch it. The Perugia versus Trentino game, which we've been getting messages all morning about how goofy that game was, because by the 5th set, 3 of Perugia's starters were out, so Losser had to pass hit, and then Trentino's starting setter had a cramp, so he was out. It was just, apparently it was wild.
Yeah.
And that's the only game Perugia have lost, so I want to go and watch it and see what happened.
But that's the big perk of doing this is I feel like in the past I might have missed that game and watched it just late, but I'll be watching that tonight from the sheer fact of people being this is just hilarious. And then it's it'll get us prepped for what we'll have to do at Warrnambool tournaments. We've had a few tournaments where you go from a squad of 12 to a team of 7.
Funny enough,
out of position.
Our coach was we must take minimum 10 players in every team because players just go down too easily in these tournaments. And it's we do play 6 games in a day.
Yeah. Not many tournaments you're doing that.
No. All right. Main topic today we're just doing some updates. So like there was one big one that Alex and I want to discuss from CEV, so Champions League. Didn't do a Champions League update because there hasn't been any leg. There's been one women's leg, and we're going to talk about it a little bit because it's relevant to what CEV posted about it, but nothing changed. The top teams in every pool are dominating, and there's not even a hope in anything that any other team will have a chance. So can you read out, this is a summarized version of what was posted, because what was posted, I don't think it was I couldn't find it.
I couldn't find the official statement.
This is a reliable news source that posted on Instagram that Alex and I found.
Because CEV, for those that don't know, like we talk about it because it acts as the Champions League for European volleyball.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
Good hint there.
Good hint there. So it is supposed to be the best clubs from each
All
nation.
of Europe.
Yeah,
No,
all of Europe.
All of Europe.
Competing in the tournament. And it is an issue that we talk about a lot about does expanding offerings and teams improve the quality or negate it. But it's come out that like CEV leadership is discussing a revamp.
Yeah.
Because this year might have not been as
best.
attractive because the top teams of each pool have kind of walked over the rest.
Yeah.
A couple second teams are also sitting good with only like one loss to the top team.
Yeah.
So because I don't remember why they made the change for this season, but the wild card process to get access was more open. There was a whole pre-CEV tournament for the last 4 spots, I think it was.
I think it's like that. Yeah, we might have to get Nathan Roberts back on at some stage to help us because he's been a part of this. But yeah, essentially the post read like the newly CEV elected leadership is discussing a revamp because they agree that the appeal and attractiveness of the elite CEV Champions League has dropped and they want to improve it so they can bring in more fans, clubs, sponsors, partners and media, right? That's every league run or league organizer's goal.
Yeah.
But as Alex and I will talk about in a little bit, it's very easy to go too hard into just straight up participation at the loss of quality, which is which is absolutely what has happened for CEV this year.
Not that the downgrade's that far because they are still
very,
premier
very good
teams.
teams. Yeah.
It is just a decline from the top order.
Yeah.
Like it actually said 5 teams from the early rounds progressed to the group stage of the Women's League, Champions League, due to like the low number of registered teams, which has declined the competition.
Yeah.
Which is a tough issue that competitions have worldwide. The administration's decision to introduce wildcards will not influence the allocation of slots for 2026. So they have walked it back slightly to try and reestablish what was matching prior seasons. Yeah,
I think, well, someone potentially who's from Europe or played there and knows it a bit better than us. So this post just keeps going into like, we're doing this because we want to increase the portfolio for stakeholders and clubs and leagues and stuff like that. Basically, all they're saying is the competition's a bit saturated. It's not saturated enough. Like it's diluted is what I'm trying to say. So they're introducing wildcards and they haven't said how that's going to work, or at least I can't find how that's going to work. But my assumption would be, for example, last year Perugia wasn't in it because they dominated their club season and then lost to, who was it, Milano in the 8th. So they didn't end up making Champions League, but it was pretty undisputed that they were one of the top teams in the world. This year, Trentino is in the same spot. So Trentino didn't make Champions League because they weren't top 3 in the Italian league, but there's no denying that they're probably one of the best teams in the world.
They were in the Champions League final last year. Or they won.
They won
last
year.
Yeah.
So it's like situations like that where you miss out on having a Trentino or you miss out on having a Perugia in the Champions League because of an injury or, Perugia just straight up shit the bed the other year. Fine. No worries. But not having the wildcard system and not allowing those teams to be like, okay, Spertoli had an injury. Can we get in through a wildcard system qualification process to better the competition of Champions League because of an injury or because of Perugia changed their coach. Now they look really good. I'm not saying it's the coach's fault. I'm just saying maybe a change of style suited them more. So now they're looking really good. But they've been in this situation before where they go through the season being pretty much undefeated and then lose. But I digress. I think I really like this. It means that whoever's now in charge of CEV, because it says newly elected leaders, have looked at it and gone, oh, this is pretty diluted. Like, why are we allowing teams in? Like, yes, there should be a fair process for teams to make it into the Champions League. I agree with that. But when you start getting to the later phases, which we are technically in the 4th round of the pool phase, none of the games are particularly interesting to watch. Because like you and I talk off air about like, are we going to cover Champions League and that? And we watch a game and we're like, this was a domination. Like this was so boring to watch.
Yeah. For what is essentially to the audience, I think a tournament that needs to be the best of the best, sort of your amalgamation of all these different leagues.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it does only offer 2 spots to Italy or 3 to Italy.
So, I could be wrong.
Like, but if you're still arguing that the Italian league is better to watch or the Polish league is better to watch, it's kind of unfortunate that those teams are playing in both, but they're not getting enough audience attraction to the second one, which should be an ongoing, like, highly regarded tournament.
Yeah, I agree. There's not a lot of information around on like how the early rounds work in CEV. Like, because we know there's like some Greek teams that have to do like a qualification process to get in. There's also some other teams that have to do a similar process. So it's like potentially teams in bigger leagues that aren't top 3 or top 2, whatever it is, can potentially also participate in that process. So it's like if you're a club from a not so great volleyball league, you still have the chance to go and upset some big teams. But if you're getting in by default and then going into the main draw and then just getting smashed by other teams, like, is that good for your competition? I would say no. But like, I don't know. We both saw this and had the same thought, like, that is really good. And I think we both agree that, because with Volleyball Victoria at the moment, we both sort of agree that they're going into a participation route, which like isn't the worst thing in the world for where we're at. But there will be a point where the competition just kind of is really diluted. We're almost at that point. I would argue we're a little bit past that point, but we kind of have to let some of the newer clubs develop a little bit more before we can make that. But it was just, I don't know, refreshing, I guess.
It is an issue that you see in Australian volleyball because
we're so small.
The market isn't there yet.
Yeah.
So you do prioritise clubs that have junior programs and clubs that have multiple teams and the ability to take players, because a lot of the higher clubs in State League that have just been around for so long or are attached to universities just get international students, just get the numbers, and almost to the point where their teams can't fill it. You need other teams in top leagues to take those players as well.
Yeah. But yeah, we saw this. This was good, cool, because we talk about regularly like CEV, there's just in the pool play, which is what we're in at the moment. There's 2 more rounds, I think, of pool play before they get into the finals, that will be when CEV really heats up.
Yeah, because like for the women's side, as I said, like the top women's team in each pool is undefeated, but in 4 of those pools they've only lost 1 set. In one of the pools, in 3 of the pools they've lost 1 set. Skandici's lost 0 sets. Fenerbahce Istanbul has lost 3 sets. And they're top of the ladder. There's not really been that push of challenge of the top teams. You kind of want to just get to the point where you start seeing them play each other.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be when the semifinals and the quarterfinals and that sort of stuff happens. And then the other sort of, this is not related, but something I just thought of then, which is the same thing, but we spoke about it. The overlap of Champions League and World Club Champs, because Trentino went to World Club Champs and I think they lost in the final, but like they still went. There's no way they would go if they were in Champions League because it would overlap. I think it overlaps, but also I feel like you wouldn't want to overload your players like that. But just, I don't know, I wonder how they're going to deal with that, because if they're doing this, more good teams are going to be doing this and less good teams are going to be doing World Club Champs. So I wonder how that will affect World Club Champs, because at least then if good teams don't make Champions League, they can at least do World Club Champs. Yeah, I don't know.
It also felt like World Club Champs was a bit more of a condensed schedule.
It was over a weekend, wasn't it? Or a week?
I think it's over a week. Yeah, it's over a week. I think looking at the calendar, it was from the 11th of December through the 16th.
Because it was a week and then the women's had a week.
Yeah, and then the final was a bit delayed after that.
Like a day or two after,
just to give them, I guess, the extra day
Yeah.
break. Which it may, like, even some of those early games are misses being 3-0, but you immediately get to a bit more of a competitive stage a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Which is probably just a different brand of volleyball. Everyone in the audience probably has their own perspective on
What's good
do you
volleyball.
like season volleyball, long volleyball? But I think what you're seeing more leagues shift to, and what like we probably hope AVL shifts to and lower leagues shift to, is the finals are the most important part of the season.
Yeah.
Make them series
Series
make
based.
them
Yeah.
best of 3 matches, or the more important.
Yeah.
Because that's just when the regular season matters.
Yeah.
To get you into a good place for the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, but only for seasonal based competitions. I think if you're doing a tournament like volleyball, what is it? World Cup champs.
Yeah.
I don't think they should do series.
Yeah.
But like, because then you'd argue like, oh, maybe the Olympics should do series as well. But
Yeah.
although that would kind of be cool. That maybe now that I've said it,
yeah.
imagine watching Poland and France play 5 times.
Yeah, it would maybe change
would've
some of the results
changed-
from the last year though, because then like
Because then Poland might figure it out for a game and then it's 1-1. And then France might be like,
rather
oh,
than just getting blown out in the final and everyone having
3-0.
their bad game, or even
at the same time.
yeah, or even was it Italy's matchup in like quarterfinals? where
Yeah,
just
they had a
like-
shocker
they-
against someone.
or semi-final. They had a shocker against Poland.
Yeah, and then before that,
Olympics feels so long ago already.
it was. But bridging on from the Olympics, a good inspiration for the show, probably the top volleyball podcast in the world, is Volley Source, 9x9. So Everett and Rob are the 2 hosts. They did their top 10 players of the world, men and women's, and so did Volleyball World. We saw them and had some questions.
Yeah, Volleyball World was posting them one spot at a time on their Instagram,
Yeah,
and I was like, I
what
remember
is it
sending them
for?
through, and I was like, every now and again, I was like, this one seems low, or this one seems high.
Yeah.
Oh, this one came a lot earlier than what we thought.
So we start with the women. The women are pretty. It's not that I super disagree with them, but I guess there's a lot of context that's potentially missing. Like, I don't know. We're not super well versed in women's yet. I'm starting to get there because I'm about to coach women for a season, and everything you know is probably from me yappa about it. But Agonu is pretty undisputed as one of the best players in the world, along with Gabby, and then followed by Melissa Vargas. That's on most of these lists.
Yeah,
Rob's got Melissa Vargas fairly low.
because this
But like,
is
fair enough. She
these-
hasn't been amazing recently, but like,
Yeah.
nah. Yeah, sorry.
These top 10s are the last calendar year, so it's like evaluating club performance
Yeah.
and mainly from what it
Olympics.
looks like, Olympics gets a lot of weighting, which is why there's so much benefit to the Italian women's team, or also
The French
Caneliano
on the
men's,
men's,
side, French.
yeah, we'll get to the men's, but yeah.
But Rob had his number one, someone that wasn't even on Everett's list and was down the list on the Volleyball World evaluation of De Gennaro.
Yeah.
But it's like, she's amazing as a pass hitter for them.
I don't hate that, but I feel like
Yeah.
Agonu is far better. But
Yeah.
that's just, maybe Rob is going from the perspective of, if Italy didn't have her,
Yeah.
do they look anywhere near as good?
And then like looking at setters though, Alessia Oro is someone I've like looked at a lot on the women's side. But maybe she's being handicapped by being just boring.
Yeah.
Because she's
not even on
much
Everest.
adventurous. She's not an adventurous setter,
No, she's not.
but like still runs a very good
Decent.
offense.
Yeah, no, I agree. Catherine Plummer's quite high on everyone's list. Fair enough, I understand that. So is Gabby. Absolutely.
Isabel Haak is someone that's an honourable mention, is on Rob's list.
I like Rob's got her there, but
Yeah.
no one else has got her there.
Yeah, but I've like been looking at her at Champions League. She hasn't played a whole lot of the games. Unsure why. Like had sat a couple of the games. Looked at her for the CEV Fantasy. Had her on my team with the week she scored heaps.
Lovely.
but she
good.
is very
She's
good.
very good.
But Sweden's not at the
It could be like
international
a Namir,
stage.
Could be like a Namir situation. Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
And the other thing too, with this being only a year, what's her name? I said her before we went live. Zara Ganesh is not on the list, but she's been injured for like a year.
Yeah.
So it's like I would argue she would be for middles,
I guess
like
it's almost,
somewhere on this
we're
list.
not saying who's the best. We're saying who had the best performance
Or best impact.
But but volleyball is so hard to put on that scale because it's such a team sport. Like you can say maybe a different pass hitter, like mainly on the men's side, like you could say a different pass hitter is better, but they didn't get the results
in the last year.
I
feel like this always is the case though. Top 10 lists or top starting lists, like all-star lists, whatever, always disadvantages the setters and liberos. Like there's barely any setters and liberos on this list. I cannot even see a single libero for the men's. Let's flip over to the men's. Volleyball World has Klevno as the best player in the world at the moment. I don't know if I agree with that one bit.
I said it's just very interesting to see the Volleyball World media team voted 10-1.
Yeah.
And the top two players are arguably second options in their team.
Yeah.
Second names. They are
like the second best player, yeah.
Klevno being number one, Tomáš Fornal being second.
But in their respective teams, you'd probably go Irvin and Leon or Slivka.
But then it's like, I guess they are getting benefit of being so well-rounded players. I think we had a conversation at AVL when like sort of the Olympics was starting, Klevno was playing and someone was like, Klevno's not that good. And it's like, well, he's kind of just...
He's solid.
Yeah.
Like he's solid in that team. Like if you take him out of that team, it's noticeable. But he's not going to... Well, I don't think he's going to like propel that team like Irvin would.
Yeah.
Like remember when...
But Fornal has done that in other teams. He's been
the
guy in other teams.
But is he the guy on the Polish team? That's the question. But remember when Irvin boycotted Vienna a couple of years back and France played without him and they were terrible? Like, I don't know if I can't remember it. I feel like they might have been terrible for other reasons. But anyways... Irvin is third on the Volleyball World list, but I feel like Michieletto is like, Italy hasn't done that good, but I think Italy does far worse without Michieletto.
Yeah, and he's statistically like
the best player in Italy at the moment.
His club season, was pretty good. I think it was like it's interesting seeing these weights because. At least on the women's side, Rob put a libero at number one, De Gennaro. The men's side doesn't get any of that. It is kind of still interesting to see. Normally, everyone always jokes that MVP awards are setter awards.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of setters getting a lot of recognition here other than Brazard.
Christensen is on there as well.
Christensen's on there.
Rob 10.
Rob number 10. Yeah. But it's like
So,
Christensen or Gianelli not getting...
See, as you said, it is hard to do top 10 lists if their teams don't do very well.
Yeah.
Because I would argue Checheko should be on here somewhere.
Yeah.
Also, Sakita should be on here probably somewhere as well. Because the things that he's done for that Japanese team, Ishikawa's on here.
Yeah, I guess if you're slotting him into any other team, he doesn't have the blocking presence.
Yeah.
So...
And he only works with Japan because they're so good defensively, I guess. But
then also, like, France's reception was so perfect. Brazard was in system for the entire Olympics.
Yeah.
So
that's the dream.
Do you go, he was pretty good, but he actually has a bit of offensive threat as well.
Yeah. We're going in so many different tangents here. It's great. I'm sure people are very following, like, oh my God, what's going on? Leon really shouldn't be this high on anyone's list, I don't think. I just don't think he is as good as what he used to be at the moment. I think there are better players. Like, I think Michieletto is better than Leon right now. I also think Fornal has been performing a little bit better than Leon at the moment. But it's hard to say, but like...
Bit more of a dynasty award.
Yeah, and also
just
like...
the pedigree.
Semenyuk was pretty good. Didn't play much in the Olympics though. Slivka would probably be on here, I feel like, somewhere if he wasn't injured. I don't know about Taylor Averill had an amazing Olympic performance. But other than that, though, I don't know if he should be on this list.
Yeah, well, I guess he's the only American in an Italian league,
No.
isn't he? There's not.
There's in the Italian league.
In the Italian Superliga. I think he's the only American because
Gabby Garcia.
and
Puerto Rican,
so-
now American.
Yeah.
Is Puerto Rican and now American? He's
Up to
now
you.
American. All I know is he's American.
Yeah.
And he is eligible to play for the USA national team. So he's playing, or is he playing? No, he's playing Trentino, second opposite. I don't know. My memory's cooked. Anyways, yeah, I guess he's the only American playing in the Italian league.
Yeah.
I think. But I'm thinking is Chinenye on here?
No, he's not. But he's
I would argue he should be over Averill. I would argue he should be over. He should be here over Averill.
yeah. Kokonovsky's on a few lists. He should probably
Kokonovsky
be
and Huber.
up there. Huber
I
was
agree
a bit
with.
injured through the Olympics.
But I
correct? So
agree
he didn't play a
he-
whole lot, but he had.
He should be on the
good
list.
season.
It probably shouldn't be high on the list. Though. I definitely think he's in contention for one of the better middles in the world. Obviously, other than what's his bloody name? Simon. Robert Lenny Simon. Sorry. My brain is everywhere. Coming back from Christmas. But he didn't play the Olympics and, that's unfortunate.
Well, actually, he's listed as an honourable mention. Kosmiernik was pretty good for Slovenia across a couple of different tournaments. Last
and Stern as well.
Last year's probably a bit of a difficult context-wise because VNL was so squished and condensed into then the Olympics.
Yeah.
But Stern as well was pretty good. But it's almost like Stern did a lot for that Slovenian team. That gets him probably the boost
most
in how
amount of-
valuable he is. He's pretty good in terms of opposites as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our hot takes for top 10 lists are hard though. Like it depends on what you value as a person.
Yeah.
Like I can understand everyone's picks here, except for Volleyball World's Klebno. I just I don't know.
Number one.
Is he the best player in the world? I don't know if I agree.
Yeah. When
I can see the argument for Petrie. I can see the argument.
you can see the argument for Petrie being France's best player.
and the best player.
And
He's pretty.
yeah.
I could see.
So why wouldn't he?
I could see him being more of an argument for being the best player in the world than I can for Klebno. But I will say I didn't watch this episode of 9x9, so I don't know if they talked about context and what they were looking for, and they could very well be an answer for everything we've just talked about. We just are oblivious to it. Should we move on to the match?
Well, we can just have a little break for our sponsor.
Good call. This episode is brought to you by Andor Financial.
Now, as some of you know, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, and our Melbourne Uni Renegades captain, Michael Cirillo, has recently started his own mortgage broking business.
Not only this, but Mike and Andor Financial have committed to supporting and sponsoring Net Talk for the indefinite future.
If you didn't know, Mike has spent the last 10 years in the finance industry in both financial planning and mortgage broking roles and is super passionate about empowering people to take control of their financial future.
So you or if anyone you know is in need of a home loan or would like to review their current lending situation, reach out to Mike and Andor Financial.
You can find out more information in the footnotes or description down below.
Thank you again to Andor Financial for sponsoring Net Talk.
We're back.
Is that your foot?
Yeah,
Yuck, don't touch me.
you touched me under the table. That's for the dark episode, the After
Patreon.
Dark.
Yeah, 18 plus.
When-
Anyways, Barkom, so Lorenzo Pope's team and Resovia up for debate on how you pronounce that.
Well, they've got Resovia Rzeszów. Isn't Rzeszów how you pronounce the second
I think
word?
Resovia is the city
Yeah.
or the sponsor. No, it must be the
Asseco.
sponsor. I think Rzeszów is the city. Whatever comes last is the city,
Yeah.
I think. Anyways,
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to watch this game. I had to work because I was planning to do it last night and then I worked and then was really tired and then slept. Oops. But you did. I've got the stats up.
Yeah, I had a little watch through this game, and first off, I'm going to jump into maybe it's me being the issue. Polish volleyball is still just a little bit hard to watch. I understand why
Because
a lot
there's
of people
no
want
English.
to follow more club volleyball, but yeah, there is just no commentary, and
But
almost I would prefer if it was just sitting in scout view.
I will say, I was speaking to Rob from Volleyball Source, He
Did one.
did one. He commentated one.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll be doing more. So maybe we can do the match to watch and make sure we do it so that Rob is commentating that one so people can go and watch it with English commentary.
Yeah. I mean, it's now accessible on VBTV, which is so good because everything's just on the one platform. So it is good to have in the background. I think I was watching the start of this game just playing and looking over and watching points. And then seeing it sort of later on when it got closer and closer because Barkom actually won the first 2 sets. So Rzeszów is at the top half of the ladder.
They're 7th. Sitting 7th on the ladder.
So top half, they're in that finals contention. Getting this win is pretty big for Barkom trying to get out of relegation.
Yeah.
And it was good to see. We've talked a lot. The Polish league has issues with they have a foreigner limit on court playing. I think it was 3.
From memory, it's
said?
3 have to be domestic.
Yeah.
So I think they use the word domestic because this is a Ukrainian team.
Yeah.
So they have to be
So
Ukrainian.
Barkom gets the Ukrainian
They've got
/ Polish players as well?
I think.
Not sure. But
the assumption would be domestic means if your team's from Ukraine, you have to be 3 Ukrainian players
yeah.
on the court at all times. I believe that is the interpretation. We did an episode at the start, but I, for whatever reason, can't find the notes.
But this game was really interesting. There weren't a whole lot of long points. It was pretty
It's very quick. Was it?
offensive stuff, which is like kind of crazy to see. Barkom was more positive on their attack after a negative reception. They were killing the ball at 58% or winning the point at 58% on a negative reception and 53% on a positive, which is backwards. But they were playing a lot of stick ball, which was
Out of system
pretty
sort of
effective.
stuff.
Getting to see Lorenzo Pope play in a high usage role in a good game
We
is
haven't
good
seen
to
him
see.
play that in ages. Well,
Yeah.
ages because he didn't really play. He hasn't played much this season. We assume due to the foreigner limit.
Yeah.
But he played every set. I just noticed here they flipped the court in set 5.
Yeah, they did. Unsure why, but it got them the win.
I've heard of that before as like because you rotate one less through the whole set, you flip it so that you end on like your strongest rotation as opposed to going the extra way.
Yeah. Looking at Rzeszów though, like they weren't doing anything good in the first 2 sets. Nothing was really going, and it's interesting to see. I don't know why they made the change to take off Gregor Ropre, who is a pretty good Slovenian setter.
Yeah, he's their main setter.
I wonder if they hit foreigner limit issues. I can't track who else was foreign on their team, but Stefan Boyer didn't play the first 2 sets. I wonder if he was resting or sitting because he was looking good when he came on.
You have to wonder if they assumed they would do better than what they would. But you watched the match. I didn't watch it. But looking at the stats, they played horrendous. Their serving efficiency was terrible. Their hitting efficiency it's at 31%. It's okay. Reception was pretty bad.
At 31%, were you seeing their hitting efficiency?
That's the hitting efficiency, yeah. That's not terrible.
Doesn't it say 48 for their kill percentage?
Yeah, I was looking at the efficiency.
Oh.
31. I mean, that's not terrible. You want 35 for the team. But there's a lot of... What are you going to say?
Oh, yeah. I was looking at the specific match report because you can see subs as well.
Oh, yeah, I am as well.
Oh, yeah.
You can see where Boyer comes in.
Yeah, because that was probably a change that they made late, but I don't know why they also then swapped setters to have
a different setter.
Lukasz Kozub come in as set. Robert wasn't doing amazing. He was probably but it felt like he was just kind of playing to Chebulj, who is a very good pass hitter, who got a majority of their ball. And then Stefan Boyer was the second most used attacker, and he sat the first 2 sets pretty much. He came on at points here and there, but
why is this? I'm losing my mind at this. The way they've laid out this thing.
I think it's funny. Catches the eye.
It is really odd. Yeah. Boyer's efficiency was only 18. He got set 28 times.
Got blocked 5 times.
Yikes.
Happens.
He was injured for the Olympics. I don't know how long that injury, whether that's affecting him this late. Maybe it is.
So that is probably a potential for rest. I wish there was more like
Information,
interviews, pre-game, post-game in the broadcast well.
They're just Polish.
Yeah. Well, the broadcast just starts. It was actually funny. It just starts with like an overlap from a previous game on VBTV. I guess they didn't cut it correctly. And then, there's a little bit of talk, the team lists and whatnot.
And then just straight into it.
And then just straight into it. And then you just get the stadium noise, which is lovely. Just good background noise.
But our boy Lorenzo hit 32 balls, 22% efficiency, which I think is fine.
Yeah, it's 50% kill percentage because he did get 16 kills, which is pretty good.
And 2 blocks, lots of positive, 2 positive block touches. That's new. That wasn't there last time I looked at this.
Yeah.
As in, like, last time I looked at the Polish stat sheets, the block positive
Yeah, well,
touches.
the actual this is the difference between, I guess, the website on the Polish League, you can find stats, and then you can also download the match report.
What are you on?
The stat sheet. I'm on the website.
I'm also on the website.
But, like, looking at the match sheet, it doesn't have that. And also the website, like, it differs. Lorenzo's kill percentage is 50% on the match report, so that's what I was saying. And then it's 47 on here. So I guess it's just a little bit of a translation that they've changed something to be a block or a kill.
Yeah, maybe.
He does also get to, as a pass hitter, get to involve himself in the passing line. Didn't get a whole lot of volume. They were targeting the libero or Kovalov, their other pass hitter. But Lorenzo still passed pretty well at 33% positive.
And 28, perfect.
Yeah.
But only got served 18 times, got aced twice, but the Kovalov got served 35 times.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's but the libero also got served 27 times.
It's interesting looking at the metrics because you probably hope your positive percentage is a bit higher, but his perfect percentage is still very high. There's normally a bit more of a gap between you might be passing 50% positive, high 40s positive.
Yeah,
but then normally your perfect is sub 20%.
Yeah.
But to have them both high 20, low 30s
it's not terrible. Good. You have to wonder why Rzeszów weren't targeting him though, I guess. Like not having played a whole lot. But I suppose they did serve him 18 times. He didn't do too badly, so maybe they switched. I don't know. I didn't watch it. You watched it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got the win. Did they get the win?
Yeah, they did get the win.
So we love that. So
in a very close fifth set, I skipped over sort of the third and the fourth sort of then slowed back down and Rzeszów got that momentum back.
Yeah.
Figured it out on attack. I think they got a bit more service pressure through that sort of second half of this game.
Yeah.
And then the fifth set was very close, going 16-14. Which maybe they did just think they were going to get the win a little earlier.
I feel like they reckon they
eased back, and maybe this will affect them on the ladder going into the second half of the year.
Well, you certainly don't want to lose to a relegation team if you're in finals contention, because then you're going to be playing a higher ranked finals team in semis, in quarters. Interesting, but happy for our Australian Lorenzo to get the win and to play a full game. That was more why we chose this match.
Yeah, go give it a watch, have it on in the background and have a little look at just what that game is looking like. He's going to get a bigger and bigger role in international volleyball.
Well, especially after
deserve it.
Right, especially after proving himself in this game, which is great.
Yeah, and he's had roles in other games, played lots of time in other games.
So we love to see it. I want to see him play way more. And I really hope they don't. This is why I like having relegation. We don't have relegation in Australia. Well, in Victoria. Some other leagues do it. But it's kind of cool to root for a team to not be relegated, because otherwise I just wouldn't care about the bottom of the ladder. Like, it's like whatever. You're just not that good right now, sure. But caring about a team not getting relegated hits differently. Genuinely it does. So I really hope Barkom get another win here and there, and then they can not be relegated. That would be really, really cool to watch.
Yeah.
So what games should we cover next? We're asking you, the audience, because we're probably going to do the Perugia Trento one, because that just sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
Whatever happened, I just want to see Los Air pass.
It's good seeing players go out of system and have to
reach
together
into the bench.
Yeah.
Because I think Ishikawa and Plotnitsky were both like out with cramps. Like there were like 4 or 5 cramps.
Happens to the best of us.
I don't reckon I've gotten a cramp during a game. I'll say that, and I can't wait for me to get the most horrendous, round or Warrnambool or something ridiculous thing. Look, nice and I would say short and sweet, but I think we've gone for like 50 minutes as usual. So next episode, guys, Alyssa Kinkella's coming on next episode. It's gonna be good. I just realized I didn't move that.
That's right. That's where she'll be sitting.
Anyways.
There's that arranged for it.
If you don't know who she is, she's an Australian, a Victorian player who's very, very good. She just finished her 4 years in college.
Yeah.
Big Ten.
At Rutgers.
Yep. And she will be telling us all about that experience and some more things to do with just volleyball in general.
Yeah, and NCAA volleyball.
Yeah.
Might talk a little bit about that final, which was very high octane and how crazy NCAA sports is in terms of audience.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. And very good to see. But until then, you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Discord, and Spotify. All the links will be in the description. As I said, you can go and find OPI in the description as well. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah.